So in this video, there's going to be shadows of leaves and sunlight pouring through the shadows of leaves all over my face. Alright. Where are all the good men? I want to make clear from the start that this is not a man bashing video. This is not judgmental or critical viewpoint. There probably will end up being some kind of personal judgment type energy that might come through as I'm speaking here, but my intention is to try to just stick with facts. I grew up with a dad who was a psychologist. He was a counselor for both children and adults for quite a long time. My dad and my mom stayed married until he passed a few years ago. My dad was the most kind, caring, compassionate, empathetic, genuinely authentically good person that I have ever met in my entire life. I have yet to find another person who can match the bar that my dad set. He wasn't perfect. No one is perfect. He made mistakes just like everyone does. But when he made mistakes, it was important to him to look at that, sift through it, and see where he may have genuinely been wrong. And he would apologize genuinely, not just saying I'm sorry because that's what you think someone wants to hear, or because you think that's what's going to smooth things over. My dad would apologize for his mistakes, and then he would do everything in his power to make sure that it didn't happen again. My mom was really the more dominant personality in the relationship, and she pretty much ran the show, so to speak. And I'm sure there were probably times that my dad might have wished that he were a little more assertive, that maybe he had a larger portion of masculine energy, something along those lines. Maybe he didn't, I don't know. I never had a conversation like this with him, but it seems to me that there were times when he did seem to be unhappy with being more submissive, I guess, to my mom. But for the most part, it was really just maybe body language and stuff that I learned how to read from him as I got older. But never, ever did I ever hear my dad say anything negative about my mom to me or to anyone else. I'm sure they probably had heated conversations in private, but never did my dad ever argue or disagree with my mom in front of us. And also, I feel for the most part that my dad, that the balance between my mom and my dad was absolutely perfect. So this is the man that I grew up with as kind of the role model for men. And I didn't really learn or understand until I got into high school and started dating boys and having my own relationships that not everybody is like that. Not every man is like that. In fact, I have never personally met another man who was even close to being like my dad. So when I was a teenager and a young adult, I was very confused and had a big misunderstanding about love and relationships and sex and things like that. And I do remember thinking that I would eventually meet a guy who was like my dad and that's how things would be. But I found the more guys that I interacted with and hung out with and dated, the less I believed that. So I had 2 marriages, and during those 2 marriages, I had a very large drinking problem. I'm pretty sure I had borderline personality disorder as well, or I at least had traits of that, characteristics of that. I was not an easy person to be around, especially emotionally. So the 2 men that I married were pretty similar in personality and characteristics and things like that. But I can separate myself from the situation and take out my part of the situation and see their behaviors, their traits, their characteristics for what they were. But I cannot, in any fair way, use those 2 relationships as an example of what I'm trying to get around to talking about. Because there was just too much drama on my side of it. But the last relationship, long-term relationship that I had after my second marriage ended, I was completely sober. I had been sober for several years. I had a great job. I was making good money. I had lost a bunch of weight. I was going to the gym every day. I felt really, really good about myself and about my life. I had a really strong spiritual life, and I felt like I was on the right path and going in the right direction. And I purposely did not seek out any kind of relationship for about 5 years after my second marriage ended. And it was during that 5 years that I got sober, I got the great job, and lost all the weight, and started doing really good for myself on my own, raising 3 kids as a single mom. Did have a lot of help from their dads. Their dads are not bad people. But anyway, when a relationship finally came on the board, I didn't really realize at the time how desperate I was for that relationship. I felt like a romantic relationship was the next box for me to check off on the list of being considered a successful, functional human being. And I didn't realize at the time that what was really going on was that I was feeling like if I didn't have a relationship, then I couldn't be a complete person in and of myself. So that relationship did not work out very well. The guy had, again, extremely similar characteristics, behaviors, and traits as my other 2 big relationships. I wouldn't say that they were narcissists, but they definitely had narcissistic traits and characteristics. So this last relationship, which has been over for like 3 years now, it completely destroyed my whole conception of reality. Because I had this idea in mind that about how life was supposed to be. I thought, again, I was checking off all the boxes of having a good job, making good money, having a healthy body, having, a spiritual aspect to your life, and that the good, perfect, right relationship, the soulmate or whatever, was just a box to be checked off. And I realized that none of that was true. None of it. Because not only did the relationship end, but a bunch of other things happened too, all at the same time. My dad passed away. The great job that I had, the company that I was working for, had to close, had to shut down because of COVID. And my youngest child moved away to another state, so now all the kids were gone out of the house. So everything crumbled around me. And it took me about 1.5 years to get through all of that to a point where I felt like a relatively normal functioning human being again. So yes, that one relationship did color a lot of the way that I view relationships now, but I'm almost 48 years old. I've had many relationships. I've had 2 marriages, and several multi-year long relationships. I know a lot of people. I interact with a lot of people. So I'm not just basing this completely on my experience, nor am I basing it completely on an experience of romantic relationships with people. I'm basing this off of all of the men that I have met and interacted with enough to have some sense of who they are, and the experience of other women of varying ages, and what has happened with them and what I've seen happen with all of that. After my last relationship ended, I stayed alone for a while. I didn't date or anything. I kind of stuck my toe in the water of potentially going out with people a little bit. And what I basically told the people who asked me for my number was, look, I'm not dating right now. I'm not interested in a relationship right now. I've got my own stuff going on. That's what I'm focused on. If you want to hang out and talk and get to know each other, maybe we could be friends. And most of the guys would just, walk away, whatever. But the ones who agreed to my terms, all of them, I ended up not hearing from them again after a couple of weeks, 30 days, because they realized I was serious and that they weren't going to be able to get me in bed. So I stopped telling guys who ask for my number. I just tell them I'm not dating, and that's all that I say. I'm not going any farther with that. I work with a girl who is 30 years old. She is absolutely gorgeous. She has a beautiful personality. She's funny, she's kind. And I've been watching her experience, as well as other women that I know and the experiences they've had. I just don't know if there is such a thing as a good man out there anymore. Now, when I say good man, I might have a different definition of that than maybe you do. I'm coming from a place of a good man being one who is, yes, strong, assertive, capable, a leader, but who also has a balance of their feminine energy, emotionally mature, emotionally intelligent, honest. How about just honest? Kind, caring, compassionate, able to self-reflect and know when they're not making the best choices, and who are open to growing and becoming better people. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, one thing, that they want more than sex. Are there any guys out there like that? I haven't met one yet. Maybe they're all taken. Maybe they're the really handsome, put together dude that doesn't ask for your number, that doesn't ask you out, who's just nice to you and polite to you because they're nice, polite people. Maybe those are them, and there aren't any more. I don't see how that could be possible. Now, I could be sitting here saying that there are no men like that, period. But I know that they are. My dad was one. My brother is one. Why does it seem like all the guys who ask you out today are only interested in sex? Either they're married, have a girlfriend, and want to have sex with you on the side, or they're single and they have no interest in a serious, caring, long-term relationship. They just want to fuck you. You know, I think I probably have met the good men that I'm talking about, because I can think of a few of them that I don't know really, really well. Like, I couldn't tell you what happens inside their home, but I could tell you that if they are the same person at home and in the rest of their life as they are when they're talking to me, they seem very likely to be the kind of man that I'm talking about. But they're married or in a serious relationship with someone. And the other good man attribute would be not cheating. They don't want to cheat on their wives. Those are the good guys, but they're married already and they don't want to cheat. You know, at my age, most of the guys my age probably are good guys, probably are already married. But at my friend's age, a lot of the dudes who ask her out aren't married, and they're the same age as her, and all they want to do is get some action. That's all they want. They don't want to get to know you. They don't want to hang out and go do fun things. They just want to get together and screw you every now and again. And I'm not just saying this. This is what I see every single day. So I'm going to put this out there, and I would really like to hear back from some people. I want to hear back from some guys. I mean, am I delusional and this is all that I'm seeing, but it's really not like that? I don't think that's true, because all of the women that I know say the exact same thing. So let me know what you think.